So this movie is about the tools in Photoshop. So there are several tools that are here in this tool panel here that you can access just by clicking on them. You can also roll over these tools and see exactly what the tool is, and at the end it has a little key combination to get quickly to that tool. So if I were to click L on the keyboard, then I'm going to go to the lasso tool. And if I click the V key, then I'm going to go to the move tool. So I'm going to go through some of these tools and kind of show them to you, but really as we move through class we'll be focusing more in depth on each of these. I'm just going to kind of give you a brief overview of them right now. So I've got a move tool which allows me to move things on a particular layer or an item that I have selected, and also you'll notice anytime, I've talked about this before, anytime you click on a tool, the tool control bar up here at the top gives you the options for those particular tools. So if I were to click and move, well, this layer's locked at the moment. We'll get into layers later. But this moves things around. Now this is different than if I have a window kind of closed and I use the hand tool, and the hand tool moves your viewable area within the window. Okay, and you can get to the hand tool with any other tool. This is one of the key combinations that I think it's imperative to know. If you hold the space bar while you have any other tool, it automatically moves to the hand tool. So if you're zoomed way in on a particular item or a particular image, the hand tool will always come up if you hold the space bar, and then when you let go of the space bar, it'll just return to the particular tool that you have. It actually has, I think they call it springy keys as well. So if I use like L for the lasso tool and I hold L, instead of just click it just once, if I'm holding L and I let go, it'll automatically jump back to the tool that I had selected previously. But if I just hit L once on the keyboard, just one click, it automatically goes to that tool and stays. So clicking and holding a keyboard shortcut will just go to that tool for the time being until you let up on the key, or you can just hit it really quick and it just jumps to that particular tool. Another thing about these tools are, if you've got a little black arrow that's below the tool, then if you click and hold on that tool, you're going to see some other tools that are hidden or buried underneath it. So tools like the paintbrush, if I click and hold, I've got the pencil tool, the color replacement tool, the mixer brush tool automatically underneath, hidden below it. Okay, so springy keys and holding these tools are going to give you a lot more tools buried beneath there. Now another thing that you're going to have down here at the bottom of the tool panel, you're going to have the quick mask mode. We'll talk about later when we talk about masks on the quick mask mode, but for now just be aware, if you've got the quick mask mode clicked, it's going to really, these tools and things are going to behave a lot less like what you might think they would. So for now, keep that, make sure that quick mask mode is unchecked. Another thing down here is you've got your color bin, your color tools here. There's a lot of different ways which you can access color, but one of the ways that I like to do it is the foreground and color right here, foreground and background color right here within the tools panel, and I can click on black here and I can get a different color. So if I were to go to my paintbrush now, I could paint with red paint. Or if I click, I can go back to black, or I can always get my defaults by clicking the default colors. This little button will switch the foreground and the background colors. And so right now, when you just open a Photoshop file and I use, let's say, the eraser tool, it erases back to whatever's in the background color. If I have my background color changed to green, when I use my eraser, then it goes to green. We're going to talk later about different layers and things like that and how that will impact what color you have here in the background color, and erasing back to transparency in the background instead of a color. But for right now, just realize that if you've got a color in the set as the background color and you use the eraser, it's just going to erase and it'll show that color in that particular area of the background. And again, swapping between the two and going to defaults. You can also use the quick key shortcuts of X to swap between the two, or if I've got a particular color set for the foreground and background like red, and my background color, click on it here, get green, and I hit the D key on the keyboard, it's the same thing as hitting this little thing going back to defaults, and it just changes back to black as my foreground and white as my background. So if I am zoomed in on an image to where it will not fit within the window, I've got my hand tool, moving around with my hand tool. I can zoom in, as we talked about before, by clicking on these particular areas here and choosing 50% or 100%. I can also zoom in and out with the zoom tool. So I can click with the zoom tool, zoom in, or I can hold the option key to zoom out. I can also notice when I hold the Option key, it changes up here. So I can hold the Option key, or I can click here to zoom out. I usually like to just always keep it on zoom in, and then I can zoom in and hold Option on the keyboard and zoom back out. You can also draw a marquee with the zoom tool by clicking and dragging on a particular area, and it zooms right into that particular spot. Okay, so holding Option, click back out. I can also always double click on the zoom tool and it will zoom to 100%. If I double click on the hand tool, it will put that image in your viewable area as large as it can. So double click on the zoom tool, zooms to 100%. Hand tool zooms to, brings that image as large as it can inside the viewable area. These two tools we'll get into much later in class, and these are dealing with the 3D capabilities of Photoshop. This tool here are the shape tools, and this builds an entirely different layer of a particular shape. So we're going to talk about these in a while, but there's a lot of neat options that you can get to with these particular tools as well as far as these shapes go. You've got a direct selection arrow here, which deals with the pen tool and creating vector graphics. You've got, kind of works in conjunction with this pen tool. You've also got a text tool where you can click and you can create text. So I could click here and add some text, and notice with my type tool I've got some different options for my type up here at the top. Pen tool, like I said, creates vector graphics. We're gonna talk a little bit later about the vector graphics as well.